Hi there, my name's Dahua. In the current season, the jungle has become the most impactful role. In many cases, if your jungler is significantly better than the enemy jungler, you just win straight off of that. Now, with all this added pressure onto junglers, I feel like there are a lot of misconceptions about what the jungler's job actually is, and a lot of misconceptions that have always been around about what the jungler's job is. So I would like to clear up a few of those misconceptions about what the jungler is. But first, what is the jungler? What can we compare the jungler to? The jungler is a child molester. In the past, I have compared them to rapists, and that was unfair. I didn't play jungle back then, and I was wrong to make that comparison. I do now, and I realize that you're just child molesters. You're just child molesters. You ever notice that some junglers can be passive-aggressive, salty, or just rude to Asian people? Well, the reason they're like that is because they have taken abuse for years. The jungler receives more flame than all the other roles combined. If someone has been abused for years, well, of course they're gonna go around and fuck people. Mainly kids, because, well, most of the League of Legends community is comprised of kids. So what are some misconceptions about these jungle molesters? One of the things that a lot of people like to say is never gank a losing lane. You gank lanes based on their gank potential. You never gank a lost lane. That is the key. Never gank a lost lane. In lost lanes, usually the enemies will be able to 1v2 you or 2v3 you. The way a good jungler determines how gankable a lane is goes something like this. How much burst, crowd control, and mobility does your side have? And how much crowd control, mobility, tankiness, and turn potential does the enemy team have? The more of your team has of those things, your gank potential goes up. And the more the enemy has, your gank potential goes down. It's like scoping out the right kid. Molesters have to be able to analyze which kid is vulnerable and ready to be kidnapped. How unsocial is this kid? More likely to be isolated. How unattentive are his parents? More time before they notice he's gone. And is the kid fat? Fat kids like candy more on average. Let's say, for example, Nautilus is losing top lane. He gave up first blood. Does that mean you should never gank his lane? No, of course not. Nautilus is still a great gank lane. He's got crowd control. If he hits his hook, he also has mobility. If the enemy laner blue flash to kill him, that's also even more gank potential. Sometimes one small mistake costs the laner his lane. But sometimes one little fucking will also put him back into the game. There are also certain lanes that the jungler is kind of obligated to gank, such as assassin matchups. If your mid laner is an assassin and he doesn't get rolling, and if he doesn't get a snowball, he's gonna be pretty useless for the rest of the game. These matchups he has to pressure, he has to give resources to. That's what you have to do. Good jungle molesters have to be smart as well. They have to be able to analyze and judge a laner. The fat kid is more likely to take the bait, just like a more aggressive laner is willing to overextend. As a laner, you have to also be able to accept, okay, my lane just isn't very gankable. If you are, for example, playing Caitlyn Soraka up against Ezreal Tahm Kench, that is a really tough lane to gank. Your laner has a GPS cell phone. He takes jujitsu lessons. His dad is Liam Neeson. I ain't fucking him. Fuck that. Ezreal is a slippery little boy. As a laner, you have to sometimes just accept that you're in a matchup that just isn't easy to gank. If you want ganks in a bad gank lane, you have to be able to manipulate the minion wave so that the enemy laners are enticed to come in and overextend. You gotta give them some extra special bait. You can't just promise them the good old candy. That doesn't work on every kid. You gotta give them an Xbox One or trip to Disneyland or something that will help your jungler be more enticed to come and fuck this kid. You have to be able to give your jungler something to make his job easier. Now, some people believe that the jungler should be able to give equal map pressure to all the lanes. That is not possible, and it's not practical either. Now, in most cases, if a jungler gets a flash or a kill on a laner, he usually comes back to that lane. Why does he do that? Because he's already proven that he can fuck the boy in this lane. He doesn't need to go to a different lane. The boy's been traumatized. He's lost his flash, he's lost his summoner spells, he's lost his humanity, he's on tilt. He's such an easy fucking target. The jungler has found his soulmate. He doesn't want to go to a fresh new boy. That lane he has to burn flash, his ultimate, a trip to Disney World. He doesn't want to do that. Why do that when you can just walk behind someone else and fuck them? The other side of the map is dark, there's no wards, he's unfamiliar with that part of town. He wants to stay on his side of the map where he can just walk up to people and fuck them. Most times, junglers will just control one side of the map. I know you want me to fuck the boy in the top lane, but I don't. Bot lane keeps overextending. I want to keep fucking these guys for free. I don't want to have to take a trip up top lane when I'm perfectly content down here. In most cases, one lane will just receive significantly less jungle pressure than the other lanes. The jungler is simply looking for vulnerable boys to fuck. That's the jungler's job.